Legislature meeting for September 11th. Would the clerk please call the roll?
Michael Yerden.
Present.
Herbert Yerden.
Present.
Edward Gilson.
Here.
David Holst.
Here.
Roy Rehel.
Here.
John Martino.
Here.
Frank Lombardo.
Here.
Paul House.
Here.
James Weatherup.
Here.
Mary Ellen Chesbrough.
Present.
Linda Lockwood. Here. Richard Klein.
Present.
Patrick Twist.
Here.
Stephen Walpole's been marked excused. District 15 is vacant. James Scanlon has been marked excused. Lori Mangano has been marked excused. Robert Wilmot.
Here.
Marie Schad.
Here.
Paul Conley's been marked excused. Noel Samuelson.
Here.
James Karasik.
Here.
Michael Soloway's been marked excused. Mark Greco.
Here.
Frank Castilla.
Wouldn't miss it.
Mr. Chairman, that's 19 present, 5 excused, and 1 vacant. You have a quorum.
Thank you. Would now the clerk please lead us in the invocation?
As we come together this day, let us be thankful for its blessings, its opportunities, and its challenges. May we be reminded of the innocent lives that were lost on this unforgettable morning of September 11, 2001. May all of us remember with love and compassion this day. May we grieve with those who still mourn and share memories with those we cannot forget. May we draw strength from those who bravely responded and gave their lives to save others. Help us all to be ever mindful of opportunities to render our service to fellow citizens in our very own community, keeping in mind always the enduring values of life, exerting our efforts in those areas and those things upon which future generations can build with confidence. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you. Do you now have anyone that is a veteran in the room? Please come forward. I know you were there at the first one.
Oh, yeah. It's easy, no, man.
There you go. Will the Yerden boys please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. If we could please remain standing. It's been 22 years today since the tragedy that took place on September 11, 2001. 9/11/2001 was a typical day for most Americans until 8:14 a.m. when tragedy struck the World Trade Center complex, the Twin Towers. New York City, New York State, Washington, D.C., and Pennsylvania will never be the same. Let's take a moment to acknowledge the tremendous bravery of New York State's first responders, the EMTs, the police officers, and the firefighters. The sacrifices they made to selflessly help others is honorable beyond measure. As we take this moment to remember our loved ones, fellow co-workers, first responders, please remember their bravery, compassion, and love for this country. And I would also like to take a moment to remember the recent death of Sheriff Mo Todd, along with the law enforcement officer Henry Cloud, and our own employee Chandra Batchelor. A moment, please. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, make a motion to waive the rules for GC1 only.
Thank you. Do you have a second?
Second.
Multiple seconds. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Mr. Chairman, that's 17 in favor, 2 opposed, 5 excused, and 1 vacant.
Thank you. Resolution GC1 by Legislator Holst.
Mr. Chairman, I offer this resolution for adoption.
Will the clerk please read the heading?
Resolution appointing an individual to fill a vacancy in the office of county legislature and for the 15th legislative district.
Thank you. Before we move to the vote, I'd like to say just a quick word. The former legislator Nathan Emmons respectfully resigned. And today we will discuss appointing his replacement, Mr. Kevin Hill. Kevin Hill will fill the vacated seat if elected in District 15 and represent the people of the city of Oswego. Phil's appointment follows years of precedent by this body. In fact, there's a few of us here today who were first seated in a similar fashion. Once this appointment, if approved, is approved, we're going to do a brief swearing in to make it official. And Legislator Holtz, could you please introduce Resolution GC1? As you have, would you read it?
Yes, and it's both necessary and desirable to appoint a vacancy of each living qualified resident of the 15th legislative district who will continue to represent his constituents of the 15th legislative district until such time as successor is chosen as November general election 2023.
Thank you. Any discussion? Legislator Castillo.
Mr. Chairman, fellow legislators. I'm looking here at New York Public Offices Law, Section 42, filling vacancies in effective offices, elective offices. Vacancy occurring 3 months prior, 3 months before the general election in any year in any office authorized to be filled at a general election, except in the office of governor or lieutenant governor, shall be filled at the general election held next thereafter. Just met this gentleman, so this is nothing, never do I bring anything personal with this Lord. There are many things that turn people's stomachs about the word politics and politicians. Some of them are political payback, political favors, pay to play, gerrymandering. And what we're attempting to do today is something that turns people's stomachs still. Not anything personal, but right now we're looking at a general election in November 7th to be exact. This is a contested race. If it was uncontested, I would not have an argument about this at all. But it is a contested race. And the people should have a choice as to who they would like to be elected. With what's in GC 10, which tells me the number of days that past District 15 legislator was committed to being a legislator was 3 days a month. With that being said, then all we're looking at is maybe 6 or 7 days that representation wouldn't be there for District 15. So what I'm asking is I'm going to make a motion right now to table this until after the November elections, at which time if that gentleman wins the election, then you can appoint him, no problem. But if not, then you can appoint whoever you want at that point in time. But I would make that motion now.
Thank you. Do we have a second? We have a second. Any discussion?
Roll call vote, please.
Roll call vote, please.
Michael Yurden.
No.
Herbert Yurden.
No.
Edward Gilson.
No.
David Holtz.
No.
Roy Rehill.
No.
John Martino.
No.
Frank Lombardo.
No.
Paul House.
No.
James Weatherup.
No.
Mary Ellen Chesbro.
No.
Linda Lockwood.
No.
Richard Klein.
No.
Patrick Twist.
No.
Stephen Walpole's been marked excused. District 15 is vacant. James Scalen's been marked excused. Laura Nagano's been marked excused. Robert Wilmot.
No.
Marie Schott.
Yes.
Paul Conley has been marked excused. Noel Samuelson.
No.
James Karasik.
No.
Michael Soloway's been marked excused. Mark Greco.
No.
Frank Castelia.
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, that's 2 in favor, 17 opposed, 5 excused, and 1 vacant.
Thank you. Back to the original resolution then. Any discussion? Legislator Gilson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Other than a president being set for appointing, filling a vacancy, we have some of the most important meetings coming up with next year's budget. Budget discussions coming, and I think it's only right that the 15th District be represented for those, and I urge we fill this position today.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Legislator Klein.
Yes, Chairman and fellow legislators, I don't know how your lives are, and so be it, but several times a week, people call me, or I see them at the coffee shop, or their neighbors, and they come over and talk to me about different issues. They understand about different issues that are going on in the county. It's more than 5, 6, 7 meetings. This individual, this piece of block of territory that's in this city that needs representation, they have to reach out to somebody that they know, and they know who's going to be there to represent them and bring out their concerns and what they feel about certain things like that. And it's more than just a few meetings at this juncture. There's a lot of things going on. And that district does need representation, and I believe wholeheartedly they should be filled as soon as possible.
Thank you. Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Mr. Chairman, that's 17 in favor, 2 opposed, 5 excused, and 1 vacant.
Thank you. Newly elected legislator.
I, Kevin Hill,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will uphold the Constitution of the United States
that I will uphold the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
and that I will faithfully perform the duties of the office of Oswego County Legislator,
and I will faithfully perform the duties of the office of Oswego County Legislator,
to which I have been appointed,
to which I have been appointed,
to the best of my ability and understanding.
to the best of my ability and understanding.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations, Kevin.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. At this time, could we have Sarah Sunday in the Human Services Committee please come forward?
Yeah, I got it. On the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. And a second. 1, 2, 3.
Well, having chaired Human Services Committee for longer than I can remember, Sarah has always been there for our aging community, and I'm just so impressed with what she's done and for how long she's done it. She's always there. Her team is always there for the aging community, and we thank you so much for your 30 years of service. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Well, I started my community, or my civic engagement with the county as a fluke. I took a college course, Advanced Career Awareness, not realizing it was an internship. So I had to find a position to work at, and I started in solid waste, teaching people about recycling. So that's where I started. For my first 12 years, the last 18 years have been at the Office for the Aging. Certainly I found my niche helping the elderly of Oswego County. I find it very rewarding to be able to do all that I do, and I thank you for all your support for the past 30 years.
time, could I have the Economic Development and Planning Committee and Scott Siesla, the Marching Band Director, to please come forward.
Sorry, I almost tipped you over there, too. Okay.
Three. 1, 2, 3.
Yep, there you
There we go. On the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. And a second. 1, 2, 3.
Okay, whereas a community is created by the hearts of its citizens and sustained by those dedicated to its prosperity and inspired by the heroes within. Whereas on September 30th, 2023, our Oswego community will celebrate the 44th anniversary of the Pageant of Champions. I know! I didn't know we had used it. It's the Pageant of Champions New York State Field Band Conference competition hosted by Oswego High School Band, Parents Association, and the Oswego High School Marching Buccaneers at the Joseph R. Wilbur Field, Oswego High School. Whereas, since the pageant began in 1979, well over 110,000 spectators from all over New York State have been thrilled and amazed by the displays of talent, skill, contagious enthusiasm of more than 257 bands and more than 25,000 student performers. Wow! Whereas annually, hosting such high-profile, emotionally intense performance have required immense coordination, unwavering community support, and the personal commitment of the Oswego High School Band Parents Association and the Marching Buccaneers, nationally recognized music directors and staff. And whereas, with more than 3 decades, such an amazing demonstration of leadership, discipline, and dedication has been a great source of community pride. Now, therefore, be resolved that Mr. Weatherup, Chairman of the Oswego County Legislature, on behalf of the entire legislature and the people of Oswego County, do hereby recognize the 44th Annual Pageant of Champions.
On behalf of the Marching Buccaneers and the Oswego City School District, I'd like to thank the community of Oswego for their unwavering support over all these decades. It's one of the things that truly makes the program successful, and it's really about this community. And we try to strive try and teach the values that are inherent in our community within the marching band program. And this is just one small step of having the support of the legislature and common councils and the community. It's just second to none, and it makes it just a great place to work and reside. Being I live here, it's just been wonderful. As a director, I've been here now 14 years as director of the marching band, and it's just been a joy every single day, and it's a pleasure to represent the Oswego community. This year we have 10 bands attending. Our own marching band will be competing this year as well, and we just had our first competition this past Saturday at ESM, and we finished in second place, 0.3 out of first place, so we had a great start to the season. So we're just looking to continue and just have a great, fun-filled season of success. So thank you everyone for your support and for having us today.
Thank you. We have Sheriff Hilton and the Public Safety Committee, please come forward.
It is 9/11. Hey, in lieu of 9/11, can we get a shout out to all law enforcement in here? Anybody retired or active? Going to stand up? Anybody? Sure. Oh, I'm sorry.
Turn it around.
Oh, this?
Yes, turn the paper around. Remember, that's how I screwed up.
Please attention. On the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. And a second. 1, 2, 3. Thank you very much.
Whereas the Office of Sheriff has been an integral part of the criminal justice system in New York State and in Oswego County throughout our history, having been established in the state's first constitution in 1777 and continued in every succeeding constitution, and having been one of the original constitutional offices guaranteed to the people upon the founding of our county, and whereas, despite changes in its function, status, and powers during its long history, the Office of Sheriff has maintained a continuous existence, preserved its distinguished heritage, and continued to be an essential component of our criminal justice community. And whereas, the Office of the Sheriff has evolved into a modern, professional, full-service law enforcement agency manned by fully trained police officers using state-of-the-art technology and applying the latest and most advanced theories and practices in the criminal justice field. And whereas, the Office of Sheriff is unique in the community, and the duties of the office go far beyond the traditional role of keeper of the peace, and extend into many facets of public service, including maintaining the county jail, providing security in our courts, dispatching emergency services, and serving and executing civil process for our courts. And whereas, as a constitutionally empowered office directly responsible to the people, the ancient Office of Sheriff remains, even today, responsive and accountable to the public it serves. And whereas, it is fitting to celebrate the historical contribution of the Office of Sheriff and the significant role that the Sheriff plays in our modern criminal justice system. Now, therefore, we, the Oswego County Legislature, do recognize the important services provided to the citizens of this county by Sheriff Don Hilt and members of the Sheriff's Office, and do hereby proclaim September 17th to the 23rd, 2023 to be Sheriff's Week in Oswego County. Be it resolved that I, Sheriff Weatherup, Chairman of the Oswego County Legislature, on behalf of the entire legislature and the people of Oswego County, do hereby recognize Sheriff's Week as September 17th through the 23rd, 2023, and commend each sheriff, member of the Sheriff's Office, and families for their unwavering commitment to public safety in Oswego County. This especially is a proud moment to remember.
Just on behalf of the men and women of the Sheriff's Office, I want to thank everybody for this. It means a lot to them, to the rank and file, and we appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
You're doing a great job.
Thank you. As I see, Kathy Palmotessa is almost here. There you are.
Okay, National Preparedness Month. Hey, listen, this is important. I mean, if you watch the news, right, you've seen how harsh the weather is becoming. We've all been breathing in smoke from Canada all summer long. There's earthquakes in Morocco. You know, it's an important thing to be prepared. So if you don't have a preparedness plan, perhaps you should, review that with your family and figure out what you're going to do. So, in any event, Kathy's also my favorite emergency management. Whereas National Preparedness Month, occurring annually in September, creates an ideal opportunity for every resident of Oswego County to join citizens across the United States in preparing their homes, businesses, and communities for any type of emergency, including natural disasters and potential terrorist attacks. And whereas Oswego County residents have experienced emergencies and disasters caused by floods and flash floods, severe thunderstorms and tornadoes, high winds and severe winter storms. And whereas the 2023 theme of National Preparedness Month, Preparing for Older Adults, focuses on preparing older adults for disaster, specifically older adults from communities that are disproportionately impacted by all hazardous events that continue to threaten the nation and our community, and whereas older adults can face greater risks when it comes to the multitude of extreme weather events and emergencies we now face, especially if they are living alone, are low income, or live in a rural area. And whereas it is imperative that we advocate for the well-being of our county's older adults and champion them as valued, honored, and respected members of our community. And whereas the Oswego County Emergency Management Office partners with the Oswego County Office for the Aging, the Oswego County Health Department, the Oswego County Veteran Services Office to advocate for older adults and help educate and prepare for local hazards by creating a plan with their families and making their homes more resilient. Now therefore, I, James Weatherup, of the Oswego County Legislature, on behalf of the entire legislature, do hereby declare September 2023 as National Preparedness Month. Get the picture.
Everybody ready? On the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. And a second. 1, 2,
And I couldn't have said it any better than Mark, other than this is really just, it's a nationally recognized month, but really we should be ready every month. Because we've seen devastation throughout the summer with the flash floods. It can happen anytime, anywhere. So just really take the time to talk to your family, make a plan for them, make a plan for your pets, as well as reach out to your friends, your community, your neighbors, and make sure that they're okay as well. So thank you for recognizing us. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Any introduction to visitors? Thank you. Legislator House, any public speakers on resolutions of the day? Thank you very much, sir. At this time, could the first name C. Weisenberger from Plasky come forward? Thank you. You have 5 minutes. There's a podium right there with a microphone, so we all can hear.
Good afternoon. I'm here to address the stomach-turning workaround to do whatever you want with disregard to protocol. This is nothing against Mr. Hill. I just would like to speak to the fact that this is not how things are normally done. I was surprised to find this resolution not with the others. This seat was vacated just a few days ago on August 31st by Nathan Emmons, so he could take a job with Oswego County, Operation Oswego County. Similarly, at the May legislative meeting, Paul Connolly was appointed to a seat in District 20, when former legislator Tim Stahl resigned to take a plush job as the county director of community development. The county used to advertise positions and interview a slate of qualified candidates before making department head appointments. The appointment of Mr. Hill is inefficient because, as you know, the election for legislature is in November. Why not wait until November and let the voters decide? The county could save a little money and wait to fill this seat after voters have spoken. There are 57 vacant positions at DSS. Where is the urgency to fill those positions? You are appointing Kevin Hill to the county legislator seat without a vote by the people. Moreover, you're appointing him 57 days before the November election. He will only attend one legislative meeting and, yes, a handful of committee meetings before the election. Why bother rushing to fill that seat when 23 of 25 legislators all vote the same way anyway? One less legislator won't make a difference. In fact, I'm in favor of reducing the number of legislative seats in this body. Why does Oswego County rank second in the state for the number of legislators? Well ahead of Onondaga County at 17, Jefferson County at 15, and Tompkins at 14, just to name a few. I also point out that the county legislature approves the budget for all county departments. the legislature ultimately approves all spending and labor agreements, including pay rates and benefits for employees. Workers at the Department of Social Services are difficult to hire and keep due to the lackluster pay, long hours, and emotionally tasking nature of the job. But your priority will be to pay for Kevin Hill to be a county legislator for 57 days. There is an urgency to fill the position here in the legislature, yet no urgency to serve the neediest among us. Victims of child abuse, victims of domestic violence, runaway and homeless youth. Appointing Kevin Hill as a legislator for District 15 is a double standard. Thank you.
Thank you. At this time, I would invite Kathleen Mantaro forward. Thank you. You have 5 minutes.
Good afternoon. Whoops, now I took it off. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm here today to address Resolution IT-7, the resolution authorizing the chair of the legislature to enter into an agreement with a certain company to replace the turf at Legends Field. I played softball for a number of years. I've been a resident of the city and the town of Minetto, and therefore the county, since 1965. And I enjoyed my time playing at Legends Field. However, when I saw this, I wondered how prudent this is at this time to be taking this step and how necessary. I don't recall seeing a single thing regarding this matter prior to when I saw the package for this legislative meeting. And I'm wondering what kind of data was collected by the members of the legislature in regard to doing this at this time. Well, I have nothing against the field. As I say, I played there for a number of years, and it was a joy to play. The field sits empty the rest of the year. No one else gets to use it, as far as I understand. And I'm wondering why we couldn't take a few minutes today to think about what is the reason for doing this at this time. Can it not wait? I know it was mentioned to me by people who talked to Rob Corradino that Micron would be coming, we need to get in on things when we can. But you know what, 20 years from now, how many of us sitting in here today are even going to be here? I certainly probably will not be here. And I'm just wondering if we're not jumping the gun on some things to spend money to do things at this time are not prudent. I so appreciate the legislature putting the packet out ahead of time so that those of us who would like to have access to it and be able to read these things, digest them, talk to our county legislatures, Marie Shadd is mine, have the opportunity to do that. Today, we're celebrating a memorial for 9/11. And I was in a classroom at Minetto School that day, watching that unfold, trying to keep it from my children, and it forever is going to be a day that sticks with me. But one of the things I did see as a result of that was the bipartisanship that happened after that occurred. And living in the town of Minetto, but also, you know, being close to an apple orchard up the road from me, I watched Marie Shadd and her counterpart solve a simple problem together. So I encourage strongly, because there is not a lot of diversity in this legislature at this time, I encourage you all to think about bipartisanship, listening to one another, and making decisions for the common good. Thank you.
Moving now to reports of county officials. Thank you. Any reports of standing committees? Legislator Rehill.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. At the beginning of the meeting, you recognized several people during your moment of silence, and I just wanted to say a couple things about Chandra Batchelor, who worked as a child protective investigator for 11 years and was on our drug endangered children multidisciplinary team. I wanted to offer my condolences and my heartfelt condolences to Chandra's family and to the DSS family who is grieving her loss. She leaves behind 2 teenage children, and her commitment to the mission at DSS should be recognized and honored today. She had a sign on her desk that says, "Let your light shine," and apparently that is what she did for everybody that she worked with. Remember her for a moment now. Thank you.
Anything else under special or standing committees? Thank you. Reports of special committees. Legislator Rehill.
Sorry, I've been busy. As chair of the Transportation Advisory Committee and on behalf of Heather Snow, our Mobility Management Director, I wanted to make a happy announcement of a new mobile app called 511 New York, or 511 NY, an app that you can download, and for the first time now in Oswego County, you're going to be able to coordinate a trip with Central buses and our public transit Oswego County buses. And we'll be releasing more information about this soon, but this is kind of a big deal. It's been difficult for people to connect from place to place, and I just wanted to say that in a short time that our mobility management team has been together under Heather, she's been doing some amazing work, and this is going to be a big step forward in helping people to get from place to place in the county using public transportation. Thank you.
Thank you. Anything else? Moving now to resolutions and motions. Government Courts and Consumer Affairs Committee, Resolution GC2 by Legislator Holt.
Mr. Chairman, I offer this resolution, urge its adoption.
Will the clerk please read the heading?
Resolution reappointing the director to the Board of Directors of the Western Regional Off-Track Betting Corporation pursuant to racing, car mutual, wagering, and breeding law 50.
It is resolved that Michael Barrow, residents of the county Hastings, is hereby reappointed as a member of the Board of Directors of the Western Regional Off-Track Betting Corporation effective immediately to serve as the treasurer of this legislature pursuant to racing, car mutual, wagering, breeding law 50.
Thank you. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Mr. Chairman, that's 20 in favor, 0 opposed, and 5 excused.
Thank you. Resolution GC3 by Legislator Holt.
Mr. Chairman, I offer this resolution, urge its adoption.
Will the clerk please read the heading?
Resolution urging Governor Hochul to veto A.0428.2B S.3505B as concerns moving local elections to even numbered years.
Yes, moving these elections a even number of years for us to be an increased cost to the county of about $15,000.
Yes, and I would urge all of you to vote for this resolution urging the Governor Hochul to veto moving local elections to even number years. Forcing local elections to compete against national, state-level campaigns diminishes the attention on important local issues and the voices in our community. It is the right of local government to establish the schedule of local elections. Therefore, Oswego County Legislature calls on Governor Hochul to strongly oppose this proposal. Having said that, any other discussion? Legislator Castillo.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I hear your voice there on cost for an election. Something that we should pay more for anyway, because we need to make sure that everybody gets a chance to vote. But moving this in line with state elections will increase voter turnout. Now, in the past, I've seen it many times, when we don't happen to fall on the same time when there's a larger election, mayor, city mayor of a village, town, the turnout is low. But with this, there would be a larger turnout, and I'm just wondering why the GOP would be against the larger voter turnout. But then, begin to sit here and I'm smiling a little bit because we're gonna vote no on this. You're gonna vote yes on sending this through. But when he gets to the state, you're gonna find out how Legislator Schott and I feel on this legislative floor when we bring something forward and we're outnumbered. So,
I would like to mention,
You know,
I'm not really
you'll-
sure how you feel, Frank.
move on.
Not really sure how you feel, Frank.
Well, I know, well, let's put it this way. You got a lot of bumps and bruises from playing halfback, so it's the same thing, but I will not be voting in favor of this, and I urge Legislator Schott to vote the same way, but that's up to you guys. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Mr. Chairman, that's 18 in favor, 2 opposed, and 5 excused.
Thank you. Resolution GC4 by Legislator Holmes.
Mr. Chairman, I offer this resolution, urge its adoption.
Will the clerk please read the heading?
Resolution authorizing the execution of a retainer agreement with Simon Hanley Conroy LLC relative to investigating the feasibility of commencing litigation against insulin and diabetes medication manufacturers at all.
This is for, who we used before, related litigation. It possesses skills and experience to investigate and explore the feasibility of the county of Oswego bringing litigation against insulin manufacturer, major pharmacy benefit managers on a contingent fee basis.
Thank you. Any discussion? Legislator Carrasco.
So I think that we need to be supporting this because not only am I an older person, but I do have private insurance. I do not take insulin, and I will not disclose the pill that I take, but it is $3,350 for a 90-day supply that my insurance company pays for that medication. That's ridiculous.
Thank you. Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Mr. Chairman, it's 20 in favor, 0 opposed, and 5 excused.
Thank you. Before we get too much farther forward in my crossing out on the agenda, I did notice that I missed, my fault, approval of the minutes for the regular legislative meeting on August 10th.
So moved.
Second.
Motion moved, seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you, I apologize. Moving now to Resolution GC5 by Legislator Holmes.
Mr. Chairman, I offer this resolution, urge its adoption.
Will the clerk please read the heading?
Resolution amending Resolution number 207 of 2020 concerning the retention and disposition schedule for local government records LGS-1 as amended.
This is resolved that in accordance with Article 57-A, only these records will be disposed of and are described in the retention and disposition schedule of New York State local government records. And that they have the minimum retention periods described therein. And only these records will be disposed of, and they have no sufficient administration, fiscal, legal, or historic value.
Thank you. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Mr. Chairman, it's 20 in favor, 0 opposed, and 5 excused.
Thank you. Resolution GC6 by Legislator Holmes.
Mr. Chairman, I offer this resolution, urge its adoption.
Will the clerk please read the heading?
Resolution authorizing entering into a stipulation in a tax sharing proceeding with the town of Valley and high school capital concerning the former Addis Ethanol Fulton facilities parcels.
Yes, the town of Albany and the assessing unit and Hills High School after various negotiations, reached a proposal stipulation as of the assessed values of the facilities and are now seeking the county's consent for approval regarding the same.
Thank you. And I would add that we are not the assessing unit, that is the town hall. Any discussion? Legislator Castillo.
Mr. Chairman, I just want to explain my vote here. Living in the city of Fulton, in Fulton City School District, it's not just Fulton that this tax agreement affects. It also affects Valmy and Granby, because it affects the whole Fulton City School District. But it also affects the county, because the county amount of tax is going to go down. So is the town of Valmy. So, I mean, I can't, for the life of me, go along with taking the assessment that was done by Global themselves, whereas we didn't do it, the town of Valmy didn't do it. So it's like when you go and you're going to sell your house, you go and ask for, you know, an assessment of your house, and the guy will say, well, do you want it to be assessed high to go into the bank, or do you want it assessed low for tax? And then you say, well, I want it assessed low for tax. And right off the bat, the city assessor will say, I can't accept that. And they're not going to accept it. And I don't think the town of Valmy should have accepted this, and I think the county should have said no to it also. But for that reason and those reasons there, and having talked with the representatives from the Fulton City School District and how upset they were about this law, over $500,000, the taxpayers in the school district are going to have to make up that difference, not just the city of Fulton. So I will not be voting in favor of this, and I hope anybody else that is in the Fulton City School District votes against it also. Thank you very much.
Thank you. As we've discussed, you and I, Mr. Legislator Castillo,
I know.
this is an agreement between the town of Albany and Hutchins, not us.
I understand.
Any other discussion? Legislator Chesnut.
Well, actually, looking at all the facts, number one, if my house looked like the difference between what Addis looked like when it first started and got taxed and assessed and where it's at now, there is a huge discrepancy as to what it is valued at. The copper pipes are out, there's been flooding, there's a lot of damage. So it would be the same thing as it would be unfair to even consider that it should be at the same amount. In addition to that, you say that the schools are upset with the loss. Well, actually, the schools should be saying, well, thank you for the last 3 or 4 years that they've been getting a high amount of taxes on a property that was assessed here when it should be down here. Had they asked for that assessment to be lowered years ago, the school would have lost all that money and never have received it. So at this point, I'd say they were lucky to get those all those years and say, thank you, I got that. And as well, I do believe, if I might be wrong, is that ARPA funds they got was like over $4 million for the school district. So I think this is a fair thing for the county and for that it's no longer valued at that. It would be unfair for me to have my house if it was torn apart and say, oh no, don't lower it, I want it up here. And that's why I'm voting absolutely.
Thanks. Legislator Castillo.
I understand, Legislator Chesnut's points, but the main focus is when that plant is purchased, the state's going to come through and say, because it is worth this much, because we see that it's worth this much, they're going to raise the assessed value of the county and the town. And they're going to say that now it's worth this much more, and we're not taxing it at that. So I can agree with, I know she's saying that we received all this money, that the school district received all this extra money. Well, I know the county made us whole on those things, but the county's going to get their money back upon the sale of that property. At least that's a smart thing to do, is to get our back taxes that we paid out. So the county didn't lose any money. The taxpayers in that district, they, were not assessed high, and so therefore they did not get a large tax, that they had to pay. But they're going to have to until it's sold, until a pilot agreement is put into effect, and then they're gonna lose more. So I still can't vote in favor of it. I understand why we need it, because the town says that they're gonna do it, and I know that we're doing that so that we can sell it, so we can get it back online, so we can get jobs. But until they do that, I don't think we should be reassessing. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you. Well, good-naturedly, you really think the county should be involved in assessing individual properties? Because I'd like your address.
No. The county did. The county raised the assessed value of the whole county.
Of the whole county, but your
The whole
individual
county, and that
parcel.
affected my taxes.
You're talking your individual
That
parcel.
affected my taxes.
All right, thank you. Legislator Kraft.
First off, the county didn't raise the whole assessment of the county. We took the numbers that each individual village, town, and city did, and that's what makes the value. We don't change that. I have the empathy of the school district because I represent part of Fulton. I have grandchildren that go to Fulton schools. I pay school tax, even though I live in Grandview. I think the concern is here, we're at that tipping point with this project. And how do you entice someone to take this plant, invest millions of dollars in it, create those jobs, and then bring that back up to where it belongs? The point was made that if something happened in your area, your home, whatever it is, you're purchasing a home, you'd want the value to match what the property is. I think it's proper, in spite of having taken a hit, even personally on this, that property is set at the value that the town feels is equitable to what the property is worth at this point. Hopefully what the county's trying to do to ease the process of another company purchasing that, investing in that, creating jobs, creating value, the long range down the road could be much greater for us. And for the town of Albany, and obviously for the Fulton School District. It's improper to tell somebody, we're gonna leave it at this value when it was full production, everything was working, it looked good, it was investing in itself, and say now, we're not going to change that, and then still try to entice someone to make investments in it. So unfortunately, being sympathetic to the problem, I'm gonna support this because I think that we're looking at trying to make that happen for us as a county. And again, we're not involved in assessments. This is just Valmy's resolution to us. They've already made a decision what they're going to do. Thank you.
Any other discussion?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to support what Mr. Karasik said and say that as a governing body, we should do what's fair and just to all parties, not just whether or not we're going to pay more taxes on our own personal property. So I think it's vital that we support this.
Thank you. Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Mr. Chairman, that's 19 in favor, 1 opposed, and 5 excused.
Thank you. Moving to resolution GC7 by legislator Holt.
We're pulling GC7, correct?
Is that true? Yes. Okay. Moving now to resolution GC8 by legislator Holt.
Mr. Chairman, I offer this resolution for urgent adoption.
Will the clerk please read the heading?
Resolution authorizing acceptance of additional ABPP grant funding of $30,083.98 for State Board of Elections to Oswego County.
Yes, this is in a grant that will help towards the mailing of absentee ballots, the amount of $30,083.98.
Thank you. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Mr. Chairman, that's 20 in favor, 0 opposed, and 5 excused.
Thank you. Moving to resolution GC9 by legislator Holt.
Mr. Chairman, I offer this resolution for urgent adoption.
Will the clerk please read the heading?
Resolution authorizing budgetary modification, county clerk purchase of records management system for Record Center.
Yes, this is in the county treasurer is hereby authorized to transfer $40,000 for an ARPA, A 268805, and the records management revenue line of A1460, and 440890, ARPA, and the 40,000 from A160, 440890, ARPA records to management consultant. A 1460, 543, 700 for budget modification.
Thank you. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Mr. Chairman, that's 20 in favor, 0 opposed, and 5 excused.
Thank you. Resolution GC10 by legislator Holtz.
Mr. Chairman, this will have to be recommended by urge adoption of it. And you want to read the amendment now?
He's got it.
Yes, read the amendment, please.
Okay, the amendment is GC10, that installs end date should be of April 15, 2023. Date of end date should be of August 31st, 2023.
Thank you.
I'll second the motion to amend.
Yeah. Second, we have a second. Any discussion on the amendment? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed?
Mr. Chairman, that's 20 in favor, 0 opposed, and 5 excused of the amendment.
Thank you. Back to the original resolution then, as amended. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed?
Mr. Chairman, that's 20 in favor, 0 opposed, and 5 excused.
Thank you, sir. Moving now to the Public Safety Committee, Resolution PS1 by legislator Drummond.
Mr. Chairman, I offer this resolution and recommend its approval.
Will the clerk please read the heading?
Resolution accepting grant from the Oswego County ATV Club, Inc. regarding enhanced ATV safety and enforcement.
It's in the amount of $1,000 they've done this in the past. This is to enhance safety and enforcement on the trails, keep people safe.
Thank you. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Mr. Chairman, that's 20 in favor, 0 opposed, and 5 excused.
Resolution PS2 by legislator Drummond.
Chairman, I offer this resolution and recommend its approval.
Will the clerk please read the heading?
Resolution authorizing budgetary modification for Sheriff's Office to purchase 2 Turnar devices for the Sheriff's Office and Drug Task Force from ARPA funds.
This is in the amount of a little over $67,000. It's important that our law enforcement have the tools that they need to identify the drugs that are out on the streets. This will allow them to do it.
Yes, thank you. And I would note that this handheld drug analyzer is used for non-contact testing of unknown substances. TUNARF will allow law enforcement on the scene or back at the office to test different substances to determine if they are narcotics or harmless. Dangerous substances like fentanyl and carfentanil pose a huge risk to both public and law enforcement. With these devices, law enforcement will be able to detect the substance and minimize exposure risk. Thank you. Any other discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed?
Mr. Chairman, that's 20 in favor, 0 opposed, and 5 excused.
Thank you. Resolution PS3 by legislator Greco.
I offer this resolution and recommend its approval.
Will the clerk please read the heading?
Resolution authorizing budgetary modification to transfer funds from salary and wages to additional hours in the probation department.
This is in the amount of $6,000. The one which the wages will be.
Thank you. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Mr. Chairman, that's 20 in favor, 0 opposed, and 5 excused.
Thank you. Moving now to the Human Services Committee, Resolution HS1 by legislator Rita.
Mr. Chairman, I offer the following resolution and urge its adoption.
Will the clerk please read the heading?
Resolution authorizing budgetary modification, Department of Social Services, other equipment, external speaker install.
Mr. Chairman, this is a replacement of the old system that was used to call people that are waiting in the parking lot to appointments. The total cost is $3,016 with a 75% reimbursement. There's a $754 final local share.
Thank you. Any discussion? Legislator Castillo.
Mr. Chairman, this is another form of enabling this happening here. sorry that they don't want to wait inside, they want to be outside, it's crowded. It's crowded because we don't have enough people to process everybody on a timely basis. People should show up on time for their appointment. By putting this in, we're just helping enable them more. As a member of the transportation industry for the school district, many times we pull up in front of a household to pick up a student, and that student may be a, alt-ed student, which is a student that's been put out on because of disciplinary problems. When we pull up, we wait 2 minutes, and then we leave. And you know what the answer to the parent says? Well, why didn't you toot the horn? You should have tooted the horn, I would have sent him out. I'm sorry, we're not there to enable your child. Your child's supposed to be ready 5 minutes before and 5 minutes after. So what I'm saying is, this is going to enable them more. We're going to have to put in more stipulations, more things, and I can't abide by it. I will not be voting in favor of this. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Legislator Carrasco.
Yeah, unfortunately, we're not going to come up with an overnight solution with personnel. There are improvements made there. I was very pleased at the Human Services Committee to hear the growth that DSS has made in hiring. I think it's something that we'll find resolution for. The issue at this tends to be a little bit more in another direction because of the number of people that show up. We've got a lot of people in need in this county right now, and they're waiting outside. They miss their appointment, they don't hear their name being called, and then they become frustrated, and that frustration then carries over into the county employees once they do get in there and sit down with somebody. I think this is kind of a roadblock there to say, hey, look, we're busy, we know we're busy, here it is, there's a PA system. I'm not offended if I go to a restaurant that's overcrowded and they've got a PA system that yells out into the parking lot, hey, it's your turn to eat. I made that choice to be there, and so therefore I think it takes away some of that frustration, both not only for the person that's waiting, but they're not carrying that frustration into the county employees inside. I think it's a great idea. They're talking about maybe 3 times a day they're going to make an announcement and try to ease some of that. Hopefully in the future, we're hired to the point that we can never use the system. But we're not there yet. And this buys some time for us to take some of that pressure off.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Legislator Rita.
I'd just like to add that with the potential of the flu season coming on, talking about potential of COVID coming back, people being out in the parking lot instead of inside is going to be better for children. Could be better for staff. I just think it's a good idea. It's inexpensive. It's been cleared with the mayor locally, and like Legislator Krasik said, it's only supposed to be used several times a day and not loud enough to bother the neighbors.
Thank you.
Mr. Rehill made my point.
Thank you. Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Mr. Chairman, that's 17 in favor, 3 opposed, and 5 abstained.
Thank you. Resolution HS2 by Legislator Rita.
Mr. Chairman, I offer the following resolution and urge adoption.
Will the clerk please read the heading?
Resolution authorizing budgetary modification, Department of Social Services, other equipment for technology equipment.
These are funds that we're going to take from salaries and wages due to vacancies. Let's purchase a number of laptops and iPads and equipment that's going to help staff that's already there be more efficient. Anybody who's purchased a new laptop lately probably knows now that with these new state-of-the-art electronic hard drives, the Windows 11 is finally fast. So I think this is a great idea, and it's going to not only make some of our workers more efficient, but I think it's going to make them happier and make their jobs easier.
Thank you. Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Mr. Chairman, that's 20 in favor, 0 opposed, and 5 abstained.
Thank you. Resolution HS3 by Legislator Rehill.
Mr. Chairman, I offer the following resolution and urge its adoption.
Will the clerk please read the heading?
Resolution authorizing budgetary modification, Department of Social Services, except New New York State Child Care Block Grant 2023 Pandemic Funds.
This is to be able to accept and disperse pandemic fund allocation of $1,071,000 and $1,071,075 for 2023.
Thank you. Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Mr. Chairman, that's 20 in favor, 0 opposed, and 5 excused.
Thank you. Resolution HS4 by legislator Rehal.
For this resolution and urge its adoption.
Will the clerk please read the heading?
Resolution authorizing budgetary modification, Department of Social Services, other supplies and expenses, adoption subsidy.
This budget modification is to transfer funds to cover adoption subsidy expenses. New York State Office of Children and Family Services is mandated that all counties provide the maximum state rate for adoptive and foster parents. Historically, we did not pay the maximum rate, so we have some significant increases.
Thank you. Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Mr. Chairman, that's 20 in favor, 0 opposed, and 5 excused.
Thank you. Resolution HS5 by legislator Rehal.
Mr. Chairman, I offer the following resolution and urge its adoption.
Will the clerk please read the heading?
Resolution authorizing budgetary modification, Department of Social Services, other supplies and expense, foster care funding.
This budget modification will transfer funds to use Medicaid, salaries and wages, and fund balance to cover foster care funding to meet state mandates.
Thank you. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Mr. Chairman, that's 20 in favor, 0 opposed, and 5 excused.
Thank you. HS6 by legislator Rehal.
For the following resolution and urge its adoption.
Will the clerk please read the heading?
Resolution authorizing budgetary modification, Department of Social Services, other supplies and expense, food bank of Central New York.
This is a $38,062 budget modification to transfer funds from salaries and wages to the other supplies and expenses line for a food bank of Central New York contract increase.
Thank you. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Mr. Chairman, that's 20 in favor, 0 opposed, and 5 excused.
Thank you. Resolution HS7 by legislator Rehal.
For this resolution and urge its adoption.
Will the clerk please read the heading?
Resolution authorizing budgetary modification, Department of Social Services, other equipment, Medicaid copier.
This will transfer funds from salaries and wages to other supplies and, I'm sorry, here. Local Medicaid staff are currently responsible for managing documentation for Medicaid cases, and the Medicaid team needs a designated copier or printer for their team so they can independently copy and print large amounts of documents without interfering with other processes. This is 100% reimbursable, 50% federal, 50% state aid.
Thank you. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Mr. Chairman, that's 20 in favor, 0 opposed, and 5 excused.
Resolution HS8 by legislator Rehal.
For this resolution and urge its adoption.
Will the clerk please read the heading?
Resolution authorizing budgetary modification, Department of Social Services, other supplies and expense, cold flu allocation acceptance.
This is to accept a portion of the 23-24 code blue season allocation from the Office of Temporary Disability Assistance in the amount of $80,000.
Thank you. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Mr. Chairman, that's 20 in favor, 0 opposed, and 5 excused.
Thank you. Resolution HS9 by legislator Rehal.
For the following resolution and urge its adoption.
Clerk, please read the heading.
Resolution approving Parks and Recreation, Camp Hollis and Camp Zerby, 2024 fee schedule.
So we are updating the fee schedule that hasn't been changed since 2020. Even though minimum wages have gone up and many other costs have increased, this will offset some of those additional expenses.
Thank you. Any discussion? Legislator Castillo.
Mr. Chairman, I've always been opposed to fees at Camp Hollis, and I would oppose fees at Camp Derby also. It's a county facility. I understand that we have costs, but you know what? later on, we're gonna spend almost $3 million for turf fields and parking lots, but we want to raise the fees. I understand non-Oswego County residents being charged a fee, but county residents that would like to use those facilities should be able to use those facilities. They pay for it in their taxes, and therefore I would, I'm against any fees at all in either one of those facilities, but I will not be voting in favor of this because I think it should be just, if you're going to raise a fee, raise it to non-Oswego County residents. That's my opinion, and that's how I feel.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Legislator Rita.
So when we have local kids that want to attend camps that don't have the resources or their family doesn't have the income, we allow those kids to come for free. We also rent the facilities out for things like weddings and special events. So not everyone in the county is benefiting, so I think it's wholly appropriate to be able to charge something to offset our expenses for doing that.
Thank you. Any other discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed?
Mr. Chairman, there's 19 in favor, 1 opposed, and 5 excused.
Thank you. Resolution HS 10 by Legislator Rita.
Offer this resolution and urge its adoption.
Will the clerk please read the heading?
Resolution concerning a zoning area variance request concerning the Coleman property adjacent to Camp Hollis in the town of Oswego.
A neighbor to Camp Hollis needs a variance to build a garage. The county's okay with it. This just allows us to give our blessing for the variance.
Thank you. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Mr. Chairman, that's 20 in favor, 0 opposed, and 5 excused.
Legs hold on. One more.
Yep, legs are doing okay.
Resolution-
Voice, I don't know.
Resolution HS 11 by Legislator Rita.
I offer this resolution and urge its adoption.
Will the clerk please read the heading?
Resolution authorizing budget modification, Office for the Aging, accepting senior picnic transportation donations, 2023.
So we gratefully accept $1,900 that was donated by local businesses for transportation for our senior picnic. This accepts and distributes it.
Thank you. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Mr. Chairman, that's 20 in favor, 0 opposed, and 5 excused.
Thank you. Economic Development Planning Committee has no resolution at this time. We'll be moving now to the Health Committee, Legislator Klein, HE1.
Mr. Chairman, I offer this resolution and recommend its adoption, please.
Will the clerk please read the heading?
Resolution authorizing the creation, budget modification of 3 positions in the Health Department. 1 Senior Health Program Specialist and 2 Health Program Specialists.
This is dealing with Healthy Families USA. And it's a national-based program. And it's also funded through the state of New York. The savings on this would be almost $13,000, $12,752 to be exact, for the 2023 budget. What this is we sub this out to Cornell Cooperative Extension, and at this time, we're going to be bringing this in-house, where we have more control of it, work with it. We have qualified people to work in this criteria of our health department. And keep in mind, a few years ago, we okayed a plan to reorganize the health department because it needed to be done. And this is just part of that reorganization, so we're bringing it in-house.
Thank you. Any other discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed?
Mr. Chairman, that's 20 in favor, 0 opposed, and 5 excused.
Thank you. Resolution HE2 by Legislator Klein.
Mr. Chairman, I offer this resolution and urge its adoption.
Will the clerk please read the heading?
Resolution authorizing Health Department fee schedule for environmental services.
The fee schedule we have for environmental services, which is things like septic tank approvals and things of this nature, wells, and on and on and on. Different things that we do through the health department. We haven't changed that fee schedule in over 10 years. And it's time to upgrade that and at least get it caught up to the time where we are getting at least close to what the inflation rate of our whole country is right at this juncture. So we have a 2-year program as far as how we're raising those fee schedules,
and it's bringing it in line with the other counties around us.
Thank you. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Mr. Chairman, that's 20 in favor, 0 opposed, and 5 excused.
Thank you. Moving to the Infrastructure Facilities Technology Committee, Resolution IT-1 by Legislator House.
I recommend this resolution and urge its adoption.
Will the clerk please read the heading?
Resolution awarding professional services contract Part 306 permit renewal engineering services between Oswego County Department of Solid Waste and Department of Justice, DPC.
I'm going to yield the floor to the department chair, Mike Lewis-Kowski.
This is for a 360 permit that allows us to operate and process solid waste. It's a 10-year permit. One of the changes coming, we'll have to install some radiation monitoring on the incoming trash. So we'll implement that once the permit is approved. It's a 6-month, it has to be in place, the application has to be in 6 months before it's due. So we'll have it in by January 30th, because ours expires July 30th. So that's what that is.
Thank you. Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Mr. Chairman, that's 20 in favor, 0 opposed, and 5 excused.
Thank you. Resolution IT-2 by Legislator House.
Yes, I recommend this resolution and urge its adoption.
Will the clerk please read the heading?
Resolution authorizing budgetary modification to Department of Solid Waste, insurance recovery fund to the Department of Solid Waste expense account.
And again, I'm going to yield the floor to the department chair.
Earlier this year, we ran a high-speed grinder to grind our organics. We got too close to the radiator with an excavator, did a little damage. This insurance money covers that.
Thank you. Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Mr. Chairman, that's 20 in favor, 0 opposed, and 5 excused.
Thank you. Resolution IT-3 by Legislator House.
Yes, sir. I recommend this resolution and urge its adoption.
Will the clerk please read the heading?
Resolution authorizing budgetary modification, Department of Solid Waste, MERV building roof repair.
And I'm going to yield the floor again to the department chair.
The MERV building was originally built around 1990. This is for the office portion of it, which we use for the solid waste management board meetings and other full functions. It's starting to leak, so I've got some quotes to get it fixed, and that's what this one is for, hopefully.
Thank you. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Mr. Chairman, that's 20 in favor, 0 opposed, and 5 excused.
Resolution IT-4 by Legislator House.
Yes, sir. I recommend this resolution and urge its adoption.
Will the clerk please read the heading?
Resolution establishing capital project number 1323 for capital repairs, reducing 0422 and closing 1122.
I'll yield the floor again.
This one
It's
has,
easier for him to tell.
this one has some moving parts in it. It starts at the top. The rear deck around the back side of the earth is original to the plant. For all intents and purposes, it's basically a bridge structure made of concrete and steel, and it's degrading to some point. So we had B&L come in, who approved them to assist us last meeting, and this puts money aside to get those repairs going. Earlier this year, our river water intake screen, that system, we were standing up on a stack, looked down in the river where you can see it, and it's a hammerhead T design, and it was laying in the river crooked. Well, it is laying in the river crooked. The substructure and superstructure that holds it up has eroded away. So that's money to address that. Next one is upper chamber re-brick. We've got to re-brick 2 of our chambers. Money for that. We have a battery bank that powers our switchgear in the amount of power outages, and that is original to the earth. Money for that. We want to do another house with bags and cages. We want to get the scrubber top. Actually, the next 2 have been awarded: scrubber top rebuild and building relighting. Building relighting will get all of our lights up to LED. We won't have any old lights on. So that's the whole thing in a nutshell.
Thank you. Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Mr. Chairman, that's 20 in favor, 0 opposed, and 5 excused.
Thank you. Resolution IT-5 by legislator House.
Yes, I recommend this resolution and urge its adoption.
Will the clerk please read the heading?
Resolution awarding professional services contract, cooling water intake structure repairs, engineering services.
This is, one more time, Mike. This is the engineering side of getting that cooling water intake repair done. Get the engineering drawings upgraded, get the specs out, get permits in place, because we're going to have to involve New York State DEC and the Army Corps of Engineers, because we will be driving piles into the river. So that's that side of that project.
Thank you. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Mr. Chairman, that's 20 in favor, 0 opposed, and 5 excused.
Thank you. Moving to resolution IT-6 by legislator House.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I urge this resolution and urge its adoption.
Will the clerk please read the heading?
Resolution authorizing budget modification at the Oswego County Airport to increase the gas and oil budget line to purchase aviation gas for resale.
Yes, we're just moving funds for purchase of aviation fuel for resale for aircraft.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Legislator Shaw.
Mr. Chairman, it certainly seems we need a separate gas and oil account to better account for this. We wouldn't be shuffling this. I find it poor accounting practices. And I also find it that the airport is commingled with highway. But if we had a separate oil and gas account, they would actually know that they were holding their own, making money, and just keep rolling that account in normal bookkeeping practice.
Thank you. Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Mr. Chairman, that's 19 in favor, 1 opposed, and 5 excused.
Thank you. Moving to
Oh, you were opposed?
2 opposed.
Thank you. 18 in favor, 2 opposed.
She usually looks to see where my hand's going. And she didn't at that time, so I want to make sure she did.
Got caught.
I hadn't fallen asleep. Okay?
Oh, yes, you had.
No problem.
I thought you had a comment, right?
All right, thank you. Moving to resolution IT-7 by legislator House.
I urge this resolution and urge its adoption.
Will the clerk please read the heading?
Resolution authorizing the chair of the legislature to enter into an agreement with Field Turf USA, Inc. concerning turf replacement at Legends Fields.
Yes, I suppose this is the money that is going into Legends Field for the reconstruction and drainage to bring it up to usability.
Thank you. Any discussion? Legislator Shaw.
Mr. Chairman, fellow legislators, this is a huge amount of money. And in committee, I asked how it was justified, and I did get kind of a vague, well, some bed tax up over 2 years. I just feel that a better accounting of this should be put forward. We really should know some hard numbers. And I also certainly hope that it goes to open bid when the time comes, because I know this will go through, or who will run and operate this. I just have a problem with it.
All right, thank you. Legislator Castillo.
Mr. Chairman, just look at this thing, it boggles my mind. Like, how much is the city of Oswego and Champions coming up with for these turf fields? I get that as probably none. Right? But yet we lease it to them for $1 a year, correct?
No, I believe they put some money on their own in. I don't know about the lease figure itself. Former legislator Stahl, would you be willing to speak to that?
Sure, absolutely. So the contract obviously is currently set up between the city of Oswego and the county for $1, which we've historically leased the field to the city. The city has then subleased it out to this company, Champions Events, who has put together over the last 3 or 4 years almost I would say a nationwide tournament system. Pretty incredible. And if you look even 4 or 5 years ago, the only thing it was used for was the City of Oswego local tournaments, which was great. There's a lot of people who have used it for years and really enjoyed it, but it was more of a local draw. You had your softball tournament, your kickball, Tuesday through Thursday nights and weekends, things like that. This new company that was brought in 4 or 5 years ago created a system of thousands and thousands of kids coming to Oswego every single weekend. We had 2,000 kids there about a month ago. 2,000 people visiting that weekend. Over the 9 to 10 weeks of tournaments that they've offered the last 4 years, they've drawn somewhere around 20,000 to 30,000 people to Oswego. So we've got some, I do have some data. It was actually presented at the EDP committee previously when this was put together to set up the special project. So as far as the question, I'm sorry, legislator, you asked, the current contract is just $1 with the City of Oswego and the county. The Champions Events Company has handled all of the maintenance on our property that we own. Again, just to remind everyone that that property is the county's property. The turf, this project is to put turf on there. Obviously, that's not something that the Champions or the City of Oswego is going to take with them if they were to leave. That will become our property and actually increases the value of our asset as well. The turf is so important because currently they only play 8 to 10 tournaments a year because of weather. You all know it's very difficult. That's a dirt infield. If it rains in the morning, it's a mud puddle, and there's no going out there and sweeping it. That will ruin the entire day's tournaments, if not weekends tournaments. These are folks who come from Canada, from New Jersey. We have folks coming from all up the East Coast coming to these tournaments. And if you drive all the way up here for a 3-day tournament and it gets rained out, you may not come back the next time. So having that turf there is going to be essential for them to not just have the current, what they have currently, but to actually expand. Their goal is to go between 18 to 20 tournaments starting next year. And so the question the legislator asked about the exact dollars, we can show a very strong increase over the last 4 years in our bed tax revenue. That's the money we make off the hotels, right? It goes directly back into tourism for this county promoting it. But if you look at the overall increase to sales tax revenue, every single person who's coming from New Jersey, who's coming from up north, they're coming in here, they're buying gas here. If you go down to any of our local restaurants on a Saturday, you're seeing these people who, these license plates from all across the Northeast. So, the exact dollars, I can show you the difference over the last 4 years in the bed tax revenue. Also, we've all seen sales tax revenue increases over those years. But a lot of it is based on our estimates. When you know you've got 2,000 people coming here who weren't coming otherwise, they're spending money in this county that wouldn't be here otherwise. So I hope that somewhat answers the question. But as far as exact dollars, I don't know. I can tell you $1 is the contract, and at least $20,000 a year Champion spends maintaining the fields.
Thank you. Legislator Griffin.
Tim, could you also say how long this is going to extend the playing season?
Yes, so the goal is to have this go, so we currently, they start around May and go through usually September. This will hopefully start in April and go all the way into November ultimately. The other question I think that was raised, and if it's okay, I'd like to address, was the question about the rest of our community using this. This is a county-owned property, and one of the goals going forward is to be able to utilize these fields for other community members to use. So we are school districts, for practice fields for possibly lacrosse or for soccer. To have this available and accessible to our community. One of the conversations that also was brought up was that folks have to pay to park there. One of the things that the company is looking to do going forward is that any Oswego County resident who would like to attend, watch these games being played, wouldn't have to pay. They would be able to access it for free. So just wanted to mention those are questions raised as well.
Thank you. Legislator Schott.
Thank you, Tim. It's still hazy and vague, the numbers. I'd love to have you guys float me a business and I'll just pay a low rent amount. There's like no risk in this. You need skin in the game. I think it's great. Maybe we should sell it to them. Maybe we should divest ourselves. I don't feel government should be in business. They never do a good job, ever. Mr. Nelson, head of lacrosse, long time in the school district, cannot gain any traction regarding getting any space for lacrosse, period. He said nobody will call him back, nothing. I just feel 20,000, even if they invested 60,000 a year, it's a light number. I'm opposed based on the numbers.
Thank you. Legislator Castillo.
Mr. Chairman, I'm glad that one of the legislators thought of some points there. When this was first vented to us about Legends being taken over by Champions. I voted against it that year. And I voted against everything that was being done since then because there was no contribution from either the city of Oswego. Legends maintains the field, but yet they got ARPA funds to help maintain that field. And at one point in time, they had a grant that they were looking for to put in one turf field, I believe it was, and they lost that. They didn't get that grant. So then they wound up getting ARPA funds. And I thought the ARPA funds were to put in for the parking lot to help maintain the fields. Either way you look at it, he does bring up, they bring in sales tax dollars. You go downtown Oswego and restaurants are full, everything's full. But you know what? The city of Oswego doesn't share their tax revenue with the county. So what is the city of Oswego putting into it? What are the Champions putting into it? We're putting it in. All the taxpayers are. Now you brought up a point, somebody brought up a point that the use of the Camp Zerby and Camp Hollis is not utilized by all the people, so why should all the people pay for other people to use it? But yet we're going to put almost $3 million into some facilities for parking lots and for a turf field. Does everybody in here use the turf field? Is everybody going to use the parking lots? No. But yet we're going to do it. And I know that you got the votes, you're going to get it done, but I'm sorry. We got to get out of that business. Start, either sell it to them, start charging more. $1 a year is not covering it for me. I'm sorry, I will not be in favor of this. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Legislator Greco.
Yeah, it's clear that the net return on this is much greater than when you look at not just the sales tax in Oswego, you look at the sales tax in Fulton, you look at the hotel tax throughout the entire area. I believe we were told that they went as far as Watertown for hotels for some of these tournaments recently, and as far south as Coral. So this is not just a particular area that we're going to make $1 off of a vendor. This is about talking about a larger picture than just $1. Okay? Benefits this community, the benefits and the investment in our youth is tremendous, and I think you're being short-sighted. I think otherwise.
Legislator Cressy.
So is this field turf the vendor for this $2 million? If we pass this today, they're the ones that get the job, correct?
Yes, that's correct. We're awarding the contract.
Okay. I was in favor of this until I started reading the things that are not included. And it does not include an ADA access to the updated infields. That concerns me a great deal, and with my other life, I'm not ever going to support a company that's not going to do ADA requirements. I'm just not going to do it.
I think Director Stahl can address that.
Yeah, if I could. So that is part of the conversation. They will have access. We've already worked through the project with that company. So the ADA, that you'll see it there. There are A through Z points that are not included. So we actually went on a call with that contractor and addressed all 26 of that. Is that right? And that they will be provided that, but they don't currently have it in their drawings. It will be in their finalized documentation.
As part of that $2 million.
Yes, that's correct.
Are there other changes out of that 26 that they're going to be addressing?
Well, no, we've addressed each of the points in there. So that is standard, that contract is standard boilerplate exclusions for this company.
Okay.
So what I did was I went through it and verified that we were getting everything that we were expecting to get out of that. What they're not including is they're not like they're not digging up the field to put in switchback trails. They're not doing those kind of things. What they're doing is providing access to anyone who arrives. There's a separate parking spot right up front. They're going to be giving rides to anyone who needs utilization of that to get to those dugouts. There's full utilization of the bathrooms too. I think 4 of the 6 ball fields you can get to access currently, and then the other 2 they're putting together a plan to make sure anyone who needs it does have full access.
guess I would add also that it's my understanding we would need to be ADA compliant regardless of what the document says. Correct. So I believe that we will be.
Yes, but the county's amazing. We've come a long way. I was very concerned that that's on the sheet we voted for, that it says does not include.
It will be ADA compliant. I would also add, just as a side, in the present form, it looks like it probably will be installed with the help of a local contractor. Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
I got you this time, Legislator Castillo.
Thank you very much.
That's 18 in favor, 2 opposed, 5 abstentions.
Thank you. Moving to resolution IT-8 by legislator House.
Yes, sir. I recommend this resolution and urge its adoption.
Will the clerk please read the heading?
Resolution establishing capital project number 1423 parking lots.
Okay, so this is a capital project that's going to do the Legends Field parking lot and the kayak launch, and the parking lot is Department of Social Services.
Thank you. Any discussion? Legislator Castillo.
Mr. Chairman, in the description of this, it notes that certain parts of this is our local share, certain parts of it are taken care of through refund from the state. Either way you look at it, it's all taxpayer money. The local share means that, the grants that we receive are still grants from the state. And grants from the state come from state tax dollars, which everybody in this room, I'm sure, pays state tax dollars in some one shape, form, or another. But we're spending, like I said in the last comment, spending almost $3 million for turf fields, parking lots. But yet, right now, I'm looking at the point that what we can't pay our rank and file a living wage so that we can get some of them off of public assistance and help them out that way. But yet we're going to be able to help something else. And I'm sorry, and last time I checked, I think Watertown is outside of the sewer town.
It is currently.
Is it currently? Are we going to annex that now? Okay.
Well, I got my eyes on other places.
I like it. I like it. Thank you.
Any other discussions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Mr. Chairman, that's 18 in favor, 0 opposed, and 5 abstentions.
Thank you. Again, thank you. Moving now to Finance Personnel Committee, Resolution FP1 by Legislator Martino.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I offer this resolution and urge its adoption.
Will the clerk please read the heading?
Resolution authorizing professional services contract between Oswego County Treasurer's Office and 3+1 Investment Services to provide proprietary reports and data-related services.
As we know, we brought 3+1 in last year, and this company does a phenomenal job of recommendations and gives us some pointers on where we could increase the monies in our coffers through their company. They've done a very good job with this contract.
Yes, thank you. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Mr. Chairman, that's 20 in favor, 0 opposed, and 5 excused.
Thank you. Resolution FP2 by Legislator Martino.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I offer this resolution and urge its adoption.
Will the clerk please read the heading?
Resolution authorizing budgetary modification to transfer funds from the Health Department to Human Resources Department for the Safety Data Sheet System program.
This is just basically what it says. We're moving money, thanks Bob, to make sure that all of our safety data sheets for all employees are up to snuff.
Thank you. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Mr. Chairman, that's 20 in favor, 0 opposed, and 5 excused.
Thank you. Resolution FP3 by Legislator Martino.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I offer this resolution and urge its adoption.
Will the clerk please read the heading?
Resolution authorizing budgetary modification from general fund balance to the Oswego County Human Resources Department to pay back New York State Healthcare Worker Bonus Pay.
This is basically just some monies that weren't spent on that, and the state's looking for it back.
Thank you. Any Any discussion? Legislator Carrasco?
Mr. Church, how much does the state of New York owe us right now?
I had that same question.
Takes an hour to calculate, but it's several million.
Okay, and they're marking about $6,500.
Yes, and they're going to take about $3 million of Medicaid, federal Medicaid money over the next 3 years.
Had the same question.
No.
Any other discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed?
Mr. Chair, oh, you're opposed.
We're just taking a stand.
Remember, I can't stand very well, that's why Mr. Klein helped with it.
Mr. Chairman, that's 19 in favor, 1 opposed, and 5 excused.
Thank you. Resolution FP4 by Legislator Martino.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have this resolution and urge adoption.
Will the clerk please read the heading?
Resolution authorizing budgetary modification to transfer funds from reduction expense to additional hours expense.
We've had resignation in the purchasing director's office, so they're down a person. They're looking for a few extra hours to compensate on the workload.
Thank you. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Mr. Chairman, that's 20 in favor, 0 opposed, and 5 excused.
Thank you. Resolution FP5 by Legislator Martino.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have this resolution and urge its adoption.
Will the clerk please read the heading?
Resolution authorizing the amendment of grades in the management compensation plan for attorney titles.
As we know, we've had some issues with the attorneys and salaries. This is a complex laid out plan to get, for the most part, all attorneys in line and where they're supposed to be through the experience and years, and it's broke down pretty well. I do believe that this has helped the recruitment to get more applications in the door. I think this is going to be a good schedule pushing forwards, and I hope all of our legislative body will go in favor of this.
Thank you. And Administrator Church has some additional.
Yes, I would like, if I could, Administrator Church.
Yeah, we have there's an amendment to it, update the schedule.
Yes.
Everybody should have.
Yep. We do have a new schedule that needs to be amended to this.
So, Mr. Chairman, I'll offer the amendment as printed.
Thank you. Multiple seconds. Any discussion on the amendment? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Mr. Chairman, that's 20 in favor, 0 opposed, and 5 excused on the amendment.
All right, thank you. So back to the original amendment.
The original resolution.
Where was it? Back to the original as amended. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Mr. Chairman, that's 20 in favor, 0 opposed, and 5 excused.
All right, and I would add that this is part of a study that we've commenced with this Burke and Associates. This is just the first group that they're talking to, so there'll be more to follow in that regard.
And what I was referring to is, I know that Administrator Church had a little more input on that if he so desires.
Depends on if you want it.
It's passed.
It's passed.
Yeah.
What do you want me to do?
Oh, yeah.
Resolution FP6 by Legislator Martino.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have this resolution and urge adoption.
Will the clerk please read the heading?
Resolution authorizing the amendment of the management compensation plan.
This is just among these for the
This is consolidating our health.
this was for our health plan. I'm sorry. This is for the department heads. We're consolidating the
health insurance plan, so it's the same across the board between all workers and department heads. I apologize. I don't want that.
You had a McConnell moment there?
Yeah. Any discussion? All those in favor? Opposed?
Mr. Chairman, that's 20 in favor, 0 opposed, and 5 excused.
Thank you. Resolution FP7 by legislator Martino.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have this resolution under its adoption.
Will the clerk please read the heading?
Resolution authorizing budget modification to increase other equipment and fixed asset monitoring.
This is simply a machine that we will acquire to, when we do any of our assets, or when we're looking to do our assets, it'll label everything so we know what's ours and what's not. As we go through.
Thank you. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Mr. Chairman, that's 20 in favor, 0 opposed, and 5 excused.
Thank you. Resolution FP8 by legislator Martino, and will need amendment.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I offer this resolution under its adoption. However, I would like to make an amendment. I would like to make a motion of amendment to change the wording from the original resolution, which stated resolution establishing capital project number 1523, clear ballot voting machines, to a resolution authorizing acceptance of additional tier grant funding and establishing capital project number 1523, clear ballot voting machines.
I'll second the amendment.
Second as amendment. Any discussion on the amendment? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Mr. Chairman, that's 20 in favor, 0 opposed, and 5 excused on the amendment.
Go back to the resolution as amended. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Thanks,
Mr.
Mr.
Chairman,
Chairman.
that's 20 in favor, 0 opposed, and 5 excused.
Thank you. Legislator House.
How we doing?
I'm doing well. All right.
Right here. Motion to waive the rules for EP1 and IP9 only.
Second.
May I have a second? Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Mr. Chairman, that's 20 in favor, 0 opposed, and 5 excused.
Thank you. Back then to resolution EP1 by legislator Chesler.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I offer this resolution in urgent adoption.
Will the clerk please read the heading?
Resolution authorizing the commencement of a Phase 2 environmental assessment study on certain county properties located in the village of
Yes, this is a certain tax delinquent property that the county has acquired. It has gone to auction in the past, and then after 2 years, it has come back to the auction again. The problem is that it has a lot of issues, and people, I don't think, were researching the property to realize how much they had to do. So we got it in saying, you know, we need to get this back on the tax roll somehow. And we've gotten a $500,000 grant from EPA in order to do brownfield assessments. It went through phase 1, and phase 1 said, yes, this has got some issues with it, enough that we need to go to phase 2. And so with phase 2, they will discover a little bit more as to what's underground, soil, whether there's tanks underneath there, etc. And from that determination, we'll go from there as to what we will have to do. But right now, all it is we're passing the phase 2. Cost the county nothing at this point.
Thank you. Any discussion? Legislator Shaw.
Well, the 500,000 is spread across the county on multiple sites. So we need phase 2 to determine the cost, correct? Yes, to determine exactly what is underground, we need the phase 2. Okay, thank you.
Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Mr. Chairman, that's 20 in favor, 0 opposed, and 5 excused.
Thank you. Moving now to resolution IT9 by legislator House.
Yes, I recommend this resolution in urgent adoption.
Will the clerk please read the heading?
Resolution authorizing the county highway superintendent to enter into a snow and ice agreement on certain terms.
Yes, this is a snow and ice contract that we're in with the towns to have them pay our county, plow our county roads. And it's a 3-year contract at $8,500 per mile flat rate reimbursement.
Thank you. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Mr. Chairman, that's 20 in favor, 0 opposed, and 5 abstained.
Thank you. Moving now to any unfinished business. Any miscellaneous business? Legislator Castillo.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
several months ago, I was informed that I would be on the team for redrawing the district line. I had been asking for it for a while, and I was informed that I would be on that team. It's an unfamiliar point here because I don't know if most of you see a sporting event where the game is well out of hand and the winning team can't lose, so they throw in their second, third string players because they can't hurt them, or the team that's losing says, well, let's throw in everybody because we can't get hurt. Well, that's the kind of way I feel right now because I know the lines have already been drawn, and changing of them is be the second coming of the Lord. But that's not going to happen. But I appreciate being on that team, and I will be putting input in when I find out what the lines are. But next time when I ask to be on the team, I'd like to be on it at the beginning of the game and not at the end with 30 seconds to go in the game. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Legislator Hull.
All right, candidate, you on that. You were going to be invited to a meeting this afternoon. Unfortunately, the man who was doing the match, they turned her sick, and you're welcome to go to his office if you want.
There will be a meeting there. Now you can invite me to a meeting that's going to be there.
Well,
I like this. I like this game.
There you go. Yes, we will be getting together.
I'll tell you.
We will be getting together shortly.
Well, that door over there, Frank, when it leads off the bus, right?
And as I had told you, Legislator Castillo, that we were intending to meet this week, but
Yes, I know. You did.
Mr. Turner is feeling ill and didn't want to.
I had my uniform ready to go and everything.
Well, if you want, you can go outside the building and the street girl call.
Oh, yeah.
Hold it up to the window. All right, being nothing further then, I would entertain a motion to go into executive session to discuss a proposed acquisition, sale, or lease of real property.
So moved.